So we're going to continue Sefer Tehilim Psalms. We're holding the second half of chapter Lamed Hey 35. What I want to do first is a brief introduction. Sometimes people join us in the middle of the series and they're unaware of certain ideas that have been mentioned before that can help greatly, especially with this book of Tehilim. The rabbis tell us that Halevavot nimshachot achar hapeulot. One's heart is inspired by one's deeds. The deeds that we perform, the mitzvot that we were told to do, to perform, they actually do something for us. It is not just something that we're doing for God, following His instructions, anticipating some reward in the afterlife. There's a lot more to what we do. There's actual a benefit that we derive from mitzvot, from the deeds that we perform in this world. In other words, the levavot, our hearts, are nimshachot, are imbued with various qualities and are inspired and greatly moved by what we do. Somehow, with time, they affect us. And because of that, the mitzvah has a double importance, not only in doing God's will, but also in leading us in a certain path, which if we follow them sincerely and not mechanically, but we do it from our heart, at some point they will elevate us. As the Torah says, Kedoshim to you, you will become holy. Not only that you should become, or you should aspire, but you actually will become a holy nation if you follow these mitzvot. They are for your benefit. The mitzvot, however, are not just performed with our physical hands, with our body. The rabbis tell us that every mitzvah is performed b'machshava, b'dibur, b'maaseh. Depending, of course, on which commandment we're talking about, a deed can be done, beginning with one's thought, then he could verbalize it, and then he could carry it out physically, if need be. Not every commandment involves a physical deed. There are certain ones that are only with our mind, only with our heart, to believe in God, to believe in God, to love God, the fear for God. These are much more in our minds, in our heart, things that we experience, that we feel, hopefully at all times. But for a mitzvah to begin, it should begin with our thoughts. Then if it develops further, we verbalize it, we talk about it, and then it receives even greater power when we carry it out. For something to just stay at the level of the thought is very superficial, unless it's one of those commandments that involves thoughts. In order for the mitzvah to be complete, it should go through all the stages. We should be able to identify it, we should be able to relate to it. And to properly identify with a deed, with a mitzvah, with a thought, we don't just think about it, we talk about it. Talk about it, and if need be, we do it. What happens when we follow this path is that the human being is able, through the performance of the mitzvot, to acquire shlemut. Shlemut is a certain completeness. As God tells Abraham Avinu, Talech lefanai v'yeh tamim, be complete, go before me, walk before me, and strive to perfect yourself, to be complete. The human being is not perfect when he's born. Physically, it takes time till he matures. He grows. But hopefully, he does not only grow physically, he grows in his heart, he grows in his mind, he becomes more knowledgeable. And that's very important because man is endowed with the abilities to know God. He does have the tools, but he has to allow them to develop and to mature and to use them. So in the end, performing a mitzvah b'shlemut in a complete manner, with machshava, dibur, and maaseh, through one's thought and verbalizing it and doing it, can contribute greatly to the shlemut of the Adam, as I said before, with kedoshim, by being a holy nation. The same is true with shlemut hada'at. Da'at is knowledge, but so is chokhmah, wisdom. In Hebrew, there's a big difference between the two. Da'at is internal. Da'at is when we internalize that which we learn. We don't just know information, we internalize it. We adapt it and we implement it in our life. So in the same way that the human being can become complete by performing certain mitzvot, that knowledge that he studies, that which he learns, if he internalizes it, if he really understands it, identifies with it, and implements it, that's called shlemut hadat. In other words, the dat has reached the level of completeness. It's actually being used. It's not just a book sitting on some bookshelf, collecting dust. It's being implemented, and that dat, the goal of the dat that we're supposed to acquire is tikkun hamidot, is that we should use that knowledge to perfect ourselves, to refine ourselves. So we want to implement it. We don't just want to know something and not change. Man is capable of changing in a positive way or, God forbid, in a negative way. Through shlemut hadat, one can acquire shlemut hamidot, the completeness of midot, of good characters. What that will do for him is it will help him also have a proper outlook on life. Istaklut nechona, istaklut bria, a healthy outlook on what life is all about. And once you have that, it facilitates the kesher with God, the connection with God. What's the connection of God called? Dvekut, attachment, connection. In other words, by elevating oneself, refining one's character, by having a positive outlook towards life, understanding things, implementing them, which all comes about through performance of the mitzvot. Right? You can form a tremendous good relationship with Hashem. Now, there's a lot of good people out there who do not perform mitzvot, and I have a whole lecture about that. They don't know about God, they're not necessarily religious, but they're good people. It's not a contradiction. You could have a good heart, you could be well-intended, be a nice gentleman, and not have any belief. The idea here, however, is that this is more of a guarantee that you will be connected with God. If this is the ultimate tachlit, the purpose of life is to connect with Hashem, not to come in just to be a nice guy and have a picnic, have a good time. If this is the real purpose, which what Judaism teaches is the real purpose, is the connecting with God, bringing down God into this world, and reminding ourselves that He is the boss, that He's the king, that He's in charge, and forming a connection with Him through prayer, through performance of mitzvot, this can only come about if we believe. Just to have a good heart is not sufficient for that, because, okay, so the guy may not land himself in jail. If he's a good person, he may even have a decent marriage. But that's not the purpose of life. So in order to achieve the purpose of life, in order to get to the top of the summit of the mountain, in order to even strive to get there, we need to have a goal. And the goal is centered around the belief in God. And in order to do a good job, we've been given the instructions, the mitzvot, in how to go about it. So what we see in Sefer Tehilim is, in a way, a tremendous effort in this direction of connecting with Hashem, with dvikut, attachment, but also with hodaya, shevach, v'zimra, with praising Hashem, with thanking Hashem, with singing to Hashem. Music is something very, very powerful. I think all of you know that. What it does to the soul, it can put you into a good mood, or if it's Persian music, into a bad mood, or a sad mood, I should say, depending on the type of music, right? We know what it does to the soul, to the neshama. The neshama actually enjoys the music, not the physical body. So here, what we have, it's important to keep in mind, we have here a book that consists of so much valuable, precious messages, but they're not just messages to learn, to know, they're also to adapt, because they will help us. So David HaMelech, even though you will soon see, he appears to be repeating himself. It's not about repeating himself. There's nothing redundant here. It's about saying these things. We just said that it's machshava, dibur, and ma'aseh. We want to think about it. We want to continuously think about it. We want to verbalize these things, practice it, and of course put them to work. Ma'aseh. So even though you may hear some very familiar verses, in the end, it's all beneficial. It's a repetition that reinforces the emunah, the faith, reinforces the messages that he wants to get across. And if people would only learn this properly, and say it, of course, too, they, they would benefit so much. The problem is people may say it, but they don't understand what they're saying. Well, it does have some benefit to say, even if you don't understand, but there's no comparison. When you understand it and you internalize something, that has the greatest benefit of all. So in Perek Lamed Hey, David HaMelech is describing the troubles that he has with his enemies. Everyone has all sorts of struggles in life, issues. It's not just the issue itself that is a problem. It's that it takes you away from what you really should be doing. It distracts you from being able to focus on the good things and the right things. That's part of the problem. That's what David HaMelech is going to ask, beg, and pray God. Please get rid of this form, not because of the danger, not necessarily because he's afraid. It's ruining my life. It's taking away the precious time, the little precious time that we all have, from doing what I'm supposed to do, what I'd rather do. I don't want to deal with these people. I'm not a man of war. I didn't hurt them. I didn't do anything. So you will see David HaMelech stress this idea through a prayer, because prayers is something powerful, obviously. Hashem wants us to pray to Him. Sometimes He puts us in a certain situation, in a predicament, in order that we pray to Him. So here we have a composition. David HaMelech composed, not only for himself, but for us, many such prayers and requests that we should have in mind in various kinds of situations. So we're continuing from where we left off, Pasuk Yudalet, whereas the last verse mentioned last week was that David HaMelech was showing us how he compares to his foes, his enemies. Look how they're pursuing me. Look how they want to hurt me. Look how they talk about me. And what did I do? Nothing against them. On the contrary, I was so good and kind to them. I prayed when they were sick. I felt for them. What a difference between this human being and that human being. But guess what? These human beings exist today too. People who are so kind and so generous, so unselfish, and some who are very ungrateful. So he continues on the Pasuk Yudale, Kerea ke'achli italachti. I was to them, or I looked at them, or treated them like a brother, like a friend. You know, you go out of your way for certain people who are closer to you. Ka'avel em koder shahoti. And it was like a mother mourning for her child, or some say a child, an orphan mourning for his mother. Koder shahoti. I was bent over in gloom. In other words, look how I related to them. Look how much pain I had when they were in pain. He really felt it. And he describes it as a relationship that is the same as a relationship between a mother and a child, or with one's brother or friend. This is the way he dealt with them. He's not exaggerating. He really felt for these people when they were in trouble. But what happened when he was limping, when he was in trouble? The next pasuk, uvetzal'i. But when I was limping, samihu. They were so happy. They rejoiced. Now, what does it mean, limping? Not necessarily that he was physically limping, but it's a description of when he stumbles, when he's having a hard time, and when he's struggling. And this happens in life. Sometimes people do struggle. And you have people who are, unfortunately, happy that they're struggling. You have people like that. Those who don't like him, of course. So that's what he describes here. This happened to me. He says, when I was limping, they were happy. V'ne'esafu. And they got together. Who got together? Ne'esfu alai nechim v'lo yadati. Even those who are limping themselves, who are crippled, that I don't even know, that they don't even know me. They also came together to mock me. In other words, to be happy for my downfall. What are these guys doing here? If anything, these guys who are limping themselves, who are crippled, should know better. You make fun of somebody else, look at your own situation. Kar'u velodamu. And they would, according to one interpretation, they would tear me up, and there would be no blood coming out of me. This is an expression of such a very powerful humiliation, where you've pretty much hurt the person so much without getting a drop of blood out of him. In Hebrew, that's called halbanat panim. Rabbis tell us, "Kol habalbin pnei chavero barabim, en lo chelek l'olam haba." If you humiliate someone in public to the point where he turns white, that's what's called halbanat panim, instead of just red. White is worse. It's like you've drained him of the blood. There's no blood there. You've drained him. You've killed him. En lo chelek l'olam haba. He will not have a share to the world to come, unless, of course, he repented and asked forgiveness, which is very difficult to find the entire group in front of whom you humiliated him. And it's so bad because another sin, let's say somebody committed adultery, serious offense, for which there is all kinds of death penalties, depending on what exactly was done. But at least the person has a chelik olam haba. After that, he's got his atonement. He died. Perhaps he died even before his time, like in karet, where the person's lifetime is decreased by a number of years. But that's an atonement. He has chelik olam haba after that. This individual, somebody who makes fun of another one in public, humiliates him to the point where the guy's blood is drained. En lo chelik olam haba. He has no share to the world to come. So look what these individuals did to him. All kinds of people that he even did not know, he had nothing to do with them, they all somehow joined. And he's going to tell us, how does it happen that people who have nothing to do with it, with him, what makes them come and join the gang? Are they bored? I mean, what's bringing them? He says that in the next pasuk. B'hanfei la'agei ma'og charok alay shinemo. This is a little bit of a difficult verse to understand. Some of the words here are not very common. But basically what he's saying is like this. B'hanfei la'agei ma'og. I was exposed, or I was involved with individuals who were flatterers. Hanfei is flatterers. Now these flatterers, what did they do? They were la'agei ma'og. La'agei ma'og means that they were ridiculing me, making fun of me for a ma'og. According to one interpretation, ma'og is for a snack, for something trivial, a little bit of food and drink, some benefit. In other words, like somebody hired them, somebody actually pushed them to do this because he was promising them something in return. And that something in return was very, very small, as it happened with Korach. Rabbis tell us, remember Korach, the one who fought against Moshe? Korach v'adato. How did he get so many people to side with him? So the rabbis tell us because he took care of them with food and drink. So he was like bribing them. That's the ma'og. The ma'og is like a little bribe of food. So behanfei, these people are flattering whoever is in charge here, whoever is their boss, to do the lag, to make the scorn, to mock, to make fun, because of ma'og. That's all they're getting in return is for a little bit of food, a little bit of drink, for a little prize that they're going to get. That's why they go and flatter and do this. And after that, charok alay shinemo, they gnash their teeth at me. You know what to gnash the teeth, like making fun openly. They're not even hiding it. That's what it's basically saying. They're not even hiding it. They're showing it to my face. For what? For a little bit of ma'og. But this is what happens in real life. There's an expression in Hebrew of macharet nishmato la-satan. He sold his soul to the devil. I think in English they say something like that too. What does that mean? For something, some momentary benefit or enjoyment, he did something so ridiculous, so wrong. But for what? What did he get out of it already? What did they promise him? So he says, I don't understand these guys. Why are they after me? Just because some of them were promised by Shaul HaMelech, for example, that he'll take care of them, he'll give them this job, that position, some food, a little bit of a prize. So this is the Hanfei La'agei Ma'og. These are the people who are flattering to get something in return for doing this to me, for a ma'og, for nothing, just a little bit of food and drink. But that's what happens sometimes. People don't really evaluate properly what they're going to gain and what they're going to lose. They gain a little bit of enjoyment, a little bit, but they lose so much. Did you think about that? If people would think a little bit more carefully about what they're going to gain and what they're going to lose, they wouldn't do many things. Silly things. Why do it? What are you going to gain already? The risk is much greater. It doesn't pay. But either they don't know the severity of it, for example, shaming someone in public, they may not have learned, and that's their fault, because ignorance of the law is no excuse. You should know better than that. It's a terrible thing to do. And what are you getting in return already? Is it really worth? You know, during World War II, it's very sad, but there was an individual called a capo. He was Jewish, and he was made into a semi-officer to go snitch on the Jew, because he knew the language, the Yiddish. And what did they give him already? A little bit of cocoa and butter, or margarine, or whatever, sugar. A few little things, items that were very, very scarce during the Holocaust time. And if he told on someone, if he did something that was, of course, damaging to another Jew, he would get something in return. So this was their incentive. So some people would be willing to stoop to that level. David HaMelech is going to tell us now, I didn't stoop to that level, even though I could have done the same thing to them. No revenge, right? No making fun of them. On the contrary, I prayed for them. Look at the difference between him and them. So what happened back then continues to happen in every generation, as Shlomo Melech says in Kohelet. En chadash tachat Hashem. Don't think there's anything new. People are the same. You had barbaric tribes during Genghis Khan's time. You have them today too. They have different names, but they're capable of doing the same barbaric things that were done in the past. And it's incredible. I'm amazed when I hear the news on how certain things have taken place in some country. How could people do these kind of things today? But the human being hasn't changed. Even though he's reached the moon and he's achieved so much, but it's the same human being. He's capable of the greatest evil. And he's, of course, capable of knowing God, knowing Hashem, and being very close and being very holy and special. It's all part of the free will that we have. So, before we go on, it's important to keep in mind that what David HaMelech is sharing with us are his challenges. And every one of us has challenges, nisyonot, ups and downs. What's important is how we react. The challenge sometimes is pretty much not in our hands. It's out of our control. We didn't ask for it. He says, I never did anything wrong against them. Sometimes people get themselves into trouble. He says, I didn't do it. I didn't lie to them. I didn't cheat them. Whatever. So these are challenges. And we don't know always the reason why Hashem puts someone through a challenge. We do know that he expects us to act properly, to react accordingly, not to stoop to the level of that individual and do as he did. Actually, that's perhaps what they want to see, that we try to do something like that. They hate it when we don't respond. They hate it when we keep quiet. And it's not a sign of weakness. People will tell you, oh, it's a sign of weakness. No, it's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of greatness. When you're able to litapek, you're able to control yourself, and you're able to live with it, tolerate it. It doesn't mean you can't pray that it should be removed. But it's a challenge. It's a real challenge. But David HaMelech does not take any revenge. All he asks for is, Hashem, please take it away from me. I want to focus on serving you. I don't want to be bothered by all these things. I don't want human beings to get hurt because of me. they're going to be punished if they continue. This is what he asks. It's important also to remember that when somebody's trying to hurt you, that you don't ask God to judge him. When a person asks God to judge others, they judge him too. Who are you to ask? Hashem on his own knows that he needs to judge. So we don't ask for judgment unless, of course, no one is doing anything about it, unless there's no law and order and you're at the mercy of lawlessness. That's something else, and you ask for Hashem's help. But otherwise, we don't ask Hashem, please, go after them. There's another way to do it, and that's what the rest of the parak is all about, is what did David HaMelech do? How did he react in similar situations? All right, next pasuk. Adonai kama tir'eh, ashiva nafshi mishorehem mikfirim yechidati. So he says, Hashem, how long will you look on? What does that mean? Well, one of the attributes of Hashem is erech hapayim. He can be very tolerant and wait until the Rasha, the evil man, does teshuvah. As the Navi says, Ki lo echpos b'mot harasha ki b'shuvah v'chaya. I'd rather the Rasha, the evil man, the wicked man, not die. I'd rather him live and repent. God does not create people to kill them. He doesn't want them to die. I would rather him live and eventually repent. So Hashem has erech hapayim. He uses that attribute sometimes to be patient. Maybe one day this individual will come back to him, as many have, even the most wicked. But David HaMelech says, until when? You're so good. You're so kind. You wait, but in the meantime, look at all the damage that is happening. He says, therefore, kama tir'eh, hashiva nafshi mishoehem mikfirim yachidati. So he says, please, restore my life from the darkness, from their darkness, and my soul from kefirim, from young lions. He's talking about nafshi and yachidati. These are two almost synonymous words that relate to the soul. Meaning, I'm not asking for my physical protection necessarily here. I'm asking for my nafshi, my nefesh, my soul. I don't want to get hurt. I want to be able to accomplish everything that is expected of me. I don't want to be preoccupied with all these things. So this is all affecting his nefesh. I don't want to be contaminated. I don't want to be exposed to this. Forget about the physical danger. He already spoke about that, and probably speaks about that again many times, about physical danger, which always exists. But here, having to deal with this, look what it's going to do to my nafshi, to my yachidati, to my single, unique soul. That's yachidah, is the uniqueness of the soul, the part that is unique to every single individual, the part that is the closest to connecting to Hashem. It's called yachidah. So for some reason he mentions the word yachidah over here, in essence saying that I don't want to become distant from you, as he's going to say later on. So therefore remove me, or take away the darkness from me, I should say, and remove me from the kefirim, from these lions. Restore my nefesh. In other words, help me out in such a way that I will be able to concentrate on what's really important in life and not have to deal with them. Next pasuk. Odecha bekahal rav be'am atzuma halaleka. I will thank you, and I will do so in a large congregation, in front of a lot of people. Be'am atzuma halaleka. I will praise you amongst a very mighty nation, the Jewish people. What is he adding over here? In other words, if you do this for me, this is what I plan to do. So remember what I said in the beginning, the introduction, the importance of praise, the importance of giving thanks, verbalizing those thoughts. This is not just to give thanks to Hashem for a miracle or for the protection that Hashem gives at all times. It's not only recognizing it, which is also important. It also involves publicizing it, sharing it with people, making them realize that the Hashgacha, the divine providence, is continuously upon us. And we have a tradition. If we publicize our miracles, if we talk about them, verbalize them, repeat them, then we will merit having more miracles. So when we talk about the miracle of Pesach, we're not just remembering the past. We're basically saying, Hashem, in the same way you did it in the past, please, do it all over again. You can do it. You've done so. So this is a very powerful request, a very special request. To continue to witness, to experience the miracles. So I will thank you, and I will do so in public and amongst many people, because I wanted to teach them this. I wanted to know this. So this is what I would rather do. And I have to deal with battle and with all this gangs of people that are not interested in anything that has to do with spirituality, with faith in God, with mitzvot. So allow me, give me the opportunity to praise you, to thank you. Next pasuk. Al yismechu li oivai sheker, sonai chinam yikretzu ain. Don't allow the enemy, who has been my enemy for no real reason, without any cause. Sheker. It's all falsehood. What they claim is totally a lie. Those that, sonai chinam, those that hate me, or those that despise me, chinam, for no reason. Don't let them continue on, yikretzu ain, to wink with their eye. So, if you read this pasuk without looking at the commentaries, without taking the time to understand it, you might think, well, it's very poetic of him on how he uses various words to describe how the enemies look at him. But really, there's a great weight and importance to every word he says. Here, in this verse, he's pointing out to a tremendous fault that people have, and we still have it around today, that's sinat chinam, baseless hatred. How a lot of the hatred amongst people is for no real reason. The guy didn't do anything. It comes from being very selfish, it comes from jealousy, it comes from other reasons, but not for a real cause. Yikretzu ain, winking of an eye, you know what that could be? Rabbis tell us, be very careful if somebody asks you a question, your opinion about another individual, and you don't want to give a negative report, God forbid, because you don't want to say lashon hara, you don't want to say something that's not nice or negative about him, especially if you're unsure if it's true or not. But you wink with your eye, you do something with your nose, you make a face, as we say in English. That making a face is avak lashon hara, it's the dust of lashon hara. It's similar. The guy gets the message, even though you didn't verbalize it, you didn't say anything. Yikretzu ain. They think that they're not doing anything wrong just by winking with the eye, just by telling me off in a different way. It's still no good. All of this is chinam. It's hatred based on nothing. And that's very, very dangerous. There's no unity amongst many, many family members. See, not family members, brothers and sisters, because of money. All sorts of silly things. Why? What for? Obviously, they value the money more than the friendship. Very simple. It's a very simple thing. Money to them is an idol. So here he says, Hashem, don't let them rejoice. Don't let them continue to do what they're doing. There's no reason here. There's no cause for this. Next, pasuk chaf. Ki lo shalom yedaberu ve'al rigei aretz divrei mirmot yachashavun. They don't speak of peace because they're not interested in peace. David HaMelech tells us elsewhere, Ani shalom v'chi adaber hema lamilchama. I seek peace. But when I talk about it, they say, I know, we want war. Can you argue with them? There's nothing you can do. There are some people that are not interested in peaceful coexistence. It's a fact. We see that today too. No matter what you do, you will never satisfy them. They want you dead. It's exactly what he's talking about here. Ki lo shalom yedaberu. They're not interested in peace. Just forget about it. It's not possible. There's actually a very, very powerful Latin saying that has a lot of truth to it. Si vis pacem para bellum. If you want peace, prepare for war. In other words, if you want peace, you want quiet, go ahead and make war. Defeat the enemy, eliminate them, and you won't have a problem. There are some people who are not interested in shalom, in peace. They don't speak about peace. Velrigei aretz. Now this is a very interesting term that I don't think you'll see almost any time in Tanakh, except for a few similar words. Rigei eretz is a term, a very interesting term that he has chosen, or maybe that was common in his days, to describe tzaddikim, the righteous. What does the word rigei eretz mean? Those that are going to rest, according to one interpretation, those who are going to rest in the land. Rest in the land. So according to Yonatan ben Uziel, I believe, he says that what that means is that the righteous know that their rest, their peace, will be in the world to come. And this world is a world of trials, of suffering, of pain sometimes. Okay, so according to this interpretation, either way, it means the righteous, the just, who don't have it easy here. These people talk about them. They hurt them. They hurt these individuals who are really righteous. And what do? They speak about them, divrei mirmot yahashovun. They don't only speak about them, but they actually contrive or scheme all kinds of deceitful things to say or to do to them. These individuals are not seeking peace. So therefore, you will find them trying to deceive even the righteous people. Righteous meaning that they haven't harmed you, they haven't done anything against you. And because of that, David HaMelech is telling us, Hashem, please don't let them continue to do so. They're hurting a lot of people unnecessarily. Now, doesn't Hashem know this? Why is David HaMelech asking so much for this? What's the answer to that? Why is he saying this so much? So what we said before applies here too. He's verbalizing it over and over again to make sure that what he requests is the right thing. It's not for his own benefit. It's not just for him. It's for others like him. It's for the righteous, for them to be able to focus on doing the right thing. I want to make sure I'm not asking for revenge. I'm not asking for them to be punished. I'm really asking for what is right to ask, and that is, Hashem, allow us to be able to focus on the right things in life. You know how people don't have their priorities right? And they don't focus or don't spend enough time with their family, the kids. Their focus is on their work, on making money. That's wrong. So here David HaMelech is saying, this is all I'm asking for. And I'm verbalizing it, and I'm repeating it, and I'm saying it time over time to make sure that I am convinced that I know myself that this is what I want, because this is really what I want, nothing else. Next pasuk, vayarchivu alai pihem hem amru he'ach ra'ata einenu. They opened their mouths, and they wide open, and they said, he'ach is an exclamation of joy and happiness. How happy we are, ra'ata einenu, for what we have seen. In other words, in his misfortune. So these individuals are not even concealing their intent. They're not hiding what they have in their mind. They're basically saying in the open, we don't like the guy. We're happy if he fails. We're happy if he falls. David HaMelech has to tell us that they're open about it? Yes, for a very, very important reason. Usually, the rabbis tell us, be careful to look at people in a positive way. Give them the benefit of the doubt. It's called ladun et adam lechav zechut. They also tell us, al tachshod b'ksherim. Don't be suspicious of righteous people. Don't say, well, he must be wicked, he must be a sinner. Maybe he's righteous, and you misinterpret what you saw. And even if you saw him doing a wrong thing, maybe by the next day he's already done teshuvah. So don't think bad about him. So the rabbis tell us to be careful how we look at other people. He says here, there's no question about it. It's obvious that these are wicked people. You don't have to give them the benefit of the doubt. It's clear, black and white, that they're no good. Their mouth is wide open. And they say it very clearly that they're happy. So what is there to judge here? Next pasuk, Ra'ita Adonai al techarash, Adonai al tirchak mimeni. So you saw what's going on, Hashem. Don't be silent. Hashem, al tirchak mimeni, don't become distant from me. Here you see partially what David HaMelech is concerned. David says, like by Yaakov. Yaakov sent all the gifts to Esav. Even though he had a promise, everything will be okay. But he was concerned, Shema Yigrom Achet. Maybe he's lacking the merit of Kibbut Avayim, of honoring his parents. He was away for so long. Maybe he did something wrong, so there's accusations against him. So even though he was promised protection from Hashem, everyone has to sometimes be concerned that perhaps he did something wrong, and that protection may, at least momentarily, go away. It may not be there. David is concerned, therefore, al tirchak mimeni, don't distance yourself from me. I'm concerned that if you don't do anything, if you don't respond, that will be the message I'm getting, that perhaps I did do something wrong. So I don't want you to become this. Don't be silent. Don't not get involved. So he wants to be able to make sure, to understand, right, that it's really nothing that he did to deserve this. That's why he wants to see Hashem's protection much more open. So he makes the following request. Pasuk Chet Gimel, Ha'ira ve'akitza lemishpati Elohai v'Adonai lerivi. Ha'ira ve'akitza means to arouse and to awaken to my judgment, to my cause, lerivi. He's asking that Hashem, Elokai v'Adonai, lerivi, he should awaken and come help me with my cause. This is also something very, very interesting. Ha'ira ve'akitza, arouse and awake. The Zohar speaks about this pasuk as follows. It says, Kabbalistically, there is something called Einaim Pekuchot. The eyes open up. As though something happens in the upper worlds, that the system is awakened, and all of a sudden Hashem's eyes are open, looking down at the Jewish people. That scenario is indicative of rachamim, of compassion over the Jewish people, the Jewish nation, which means at the time the eyes are opened, that the goyim don't have any shlita, any control. The enemy does not have any control to subdue the Jewish nation. When the eyes are closed, as though he's asleep, then the chitzonim, the kitrugim, the accusations, the impure forces, the balei hadinim, the attribute of justice, anything related to judgment takes on much more power, and things happen, unfortunately. Bad things, painful things. So when he says here, the Zohar says that this is insinuating, ha'ira ve'akitza, that you should arouse and awake, is that you should come out favorably, lemishpati, to my judgment, favorably to my cause. Otherwise, if there's some accusation, it will spell trouble for me. So he's praying, which is of course something that we all need to do from time to time, to empower the attribute of mercy to be the one that's going to take charge, and not to allow just plain, pure judgment to be in force. Otherwise, we suffer. Shofteni ketzidkecha Adonai Elohai v'alismechu li. Now he's asking for Hashem to be the judge. They say that when you're guilty, you're better off with a jury. If you're not guilty, 100% not guilty, you're better off with a judge, not a jury. It'll go faster. The judge hopefully will be able to see through it and realize that there's nothing here, there's no case. When a person is guilty, then he wants a jury. He wants all the opinions, all the people to have mercy on him. A judge is going to be strict. Here it's just the opposite, in a sense. Hashem is better. In other words, Hashem's judgment here is much more in his favor because he's not guilty. In a sense, it is the same. Because he's not guilty, he wants Hashem's judgment involved here, and not Baalei Adinim, the judicial system, which may take him apart differently, and not come up with the same verdict. Shofteni ketzidkecha, Hashem, Elokai, my God, like your righteousness, in other words, as you do things, according to your just way. Ve'alismechu li, they should not rejoice over me. Next verse, Al yomru belibam me'ach nafshenu al yomru bila'anuhu. In other words, you judge me in order that they should not rejoice and say in their heart that they are so happy, that they have their desire, that we have swallowed him. Al yomru bila'anuhu. In other words, don't give them the chance to think otherwise, to interpret the situation as they see it. Don't let them think that way. Not only is this a Chilul Hashem, which is what Moshe Rabbeinu was also concerned with. What will the Egyptians say? What will everybody else say if you kill them? Even though they deserve it, God forbid, even though they were wrong. But it may give the wrong impression. David Melech is concerned with that too. Don't give them that chance to say, oh, we did it. We were right. We succeeded. We swallowed him. Don't let them rejoice. Don't give them that opportunity. Instead, he doesn't ask for their revenge. He doesn't ask for their downfall. What does he ask in the next pasuk? Yevoshu v'yachperu yahdav. This is similar to what we said last time. He's asking for their shame and their humiliation. But this is a good shame and a good humiliation. He wants them to do teshuvah. He wants them to repent. And this is the first step of teshuvah, is to be ashamed of oneself. He doesn't want to shame them. Yevoshu, they themselves should be ashamed. V'yachperu, they should be disgraced. Yahdav, together. Who? Semechei ra'ati, those who rejoiced at my trouble. They yilbeshu boshet uchlima magdilim alai. They should be clothed in shame and humiliation, those who raise themselves arrogantly against me. So we're talking about those who rejoiced in his trouble, and those who raised themselves arrogantly over him. Basically, all different kinds of people who were very happy to see him fall, to see him going through trouble, and behaved very arrogantly and not compassionate towards him. Let them be clothed with shame and humiliation for their own benefit. Let them do teshuvah. That's all he's asking for. He's not asking for them to fall, not asking for them to die or for them to have any trouble. Let them come to the realization that they were wrong. Now, here, he's not just saying this without adding anything. He's already said this before. There is a little bit of an addition over here. Actually, there's several additions. He wants the good guys to win, the good guys to come out and to say something in favor of Hashem, in favor of him. And he therefore wants the name of Hashem to be sanctified. He doesn't want the bad guys to win, obviously. But there's something else over here. Look at the word belibam. Al yomru belibam, they should not rejoice in their heart in his trouble. What's this heart have to do with it? To rejoice in one's heart? So remember what we said before. Expressions can be expressed with one's thoughts verbally and with one's deeds. If he's asking for teshuvah here, where does teshuvah begin? In the thoughts, in the mind, in the heart. Without that, you cannot do proper teshuvah. You can't just say it verbally, okay, I'm sorry. No, you have to really mean it first. You have to be contrite. I think that's the right word in English. Contrite. You have to be remorseful. Where's that in the heart? That's level number one. So, al yomru belibam, let them not in their heart anymore express joy at his trouble. And that will be the first step for them to do teshuvah. And instead of them expressing joy, who should express joy? The next pasuk, Yaronu v'yismechu chafetzei tzadki v'yomru tamid yigdal Adonai chafetz shalom avdo. Instead, let those who desire my vindication, chafetzei, let them sing joyously and be glad. Let them always say, Yigdal Hashem, that Hashem's name should be exalted. Echafetz Shalom Ado, the one who desires the peace of his servant. So here we're seeing a switch to who should be happy. If anybody should be happy, are the good people, because they will use that happiness to sing to Hashem, to praise Hashem, to thank Hashem, to elevate Hashem, to sanctify His name. If anybody should be happy, give it to those people. They will know how to use that happiness, how to express their joy to Hashem. They will be doing something right with that. Isn't that a better use of happiness? That's where happiness belongs, not happiness with the evil people who are happy for having done something evil. Give that rina, yaronu, to the people who really know how to use it properly. And that is to elevate your name, to sing to you and to praise to you. Uleshoni, the last verse of the perek, Leshoni teheget tzidkecha kol hayom tehilatecha. My tongue will speak of your righteousness, your praise, all day long. What's that? This is not an expression just of thanking Hashem for having been saved. That too. What is this? What we said before. He's asking of Hashem to enable him to use his day properly by praising Hashem, by thanking Hashem, by praying to Him, by studying the Torah. To allow my leshon not to have to deal with these people, not to have to defend myself, not to have to ask favors, but teheget tzidkecha, I just want to use my tongue, use my time to describe your righteousness and sing all day long your tehilatecha. This explains why he put together this sefer, this entire book of Tehilim, full of songs and praise to Hashem, because this is what he wants. This is what he wanted to do, and this is what he is telling us here. It's so important for us to do on a regular basis so that we get used to it, realizing that this is what Hashem wants of us, to connect with Him through the praise, through the thanks, through the prayer. The segula of this perek, the power of this, of saying this perek, is that if someone sees troublemakers coming after him, he should say it every day for at least 3 days. And hopefully after that, he will defeat them. So as every perek has some koach, every chapter has some special metaphysical power, this perek, which is very clearly dealing with one's enemies, people that are giving you a hard time, giving you trouble, saying this with the proper kavanah, with the proper intent, with proper focus, will hopefully give us the strength to be able to counter the enemies, to be able to deal with them properly, and B'ezrat Hashem to earn HaKadosh Baruch Hu's protection as well. Amen.